What's up, beautiful people, and welcome back to my channel. My whole vibe is giving fall, but my mug is giving Christmas. I hope you guys are having a lovely day. Today we're just here to talk about, I guess, it ain't really tea. It's tea, but it's like lukewarm tea. Like it ain't hot no more. But first of all, I was gonna do this video before Black Friday, but y'all know I got sick and I did not have the wherewithal to sit down and have a long conversation with y'all. So that was one. But two, I'm just kind of in the mindset of when it comes to these types of issues within the natural hair community, I just feel like I'm gonna talk about it when I feel like talking about it, because a lot of y'all don't listen to a damn thing we say anyway. And if you do listen, you listen to the people that are pumping whatever agenda you want to believe anyway. So today I'm here to talk about a few things, but mostly this is going to surround around just reformulations and products, quote unquote dangerous ingredients in natural hair care products, transparency from natural hair brands, and also how Miss Panorama, how Miss Covidiana is going to affect the natural hair community in a way that we're not going to like, and we're just going to have to suck it up and get over it. So if you're interested in talking about any of these issues, I'm gonna try not to be too shady, I promise. Then just keep on watching. Also, let's go ahead and oh, my hair looks so good today. Listen, I actually picked my hair out, and in the past I never did because it would just fall back down, which now I realize is probably because I was like way too many years overdue for a trim and it was just a lot of dead heavy weight. But now I can like actually pick my hair out and get volume. This the life y'all been living. This is the life that y'all have been living. I never want to leave. I never want to leave this place. But my hair looks really great today. If you watched Sunday's vlog, then you know what's in my hair. And if you haven't watched Sunday's vlog, then you know where you can go to find out. Ew. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. The elephant that has been in the room, the thing that y'all keep begging me to talk about, and this is kind of my fault because I brought it up. So I kind of have to follow through, you know? Uncle Funky's daughter. Okay, so I think at this point we can all accept that the formula of curly magic has changed. So y'all know this baby right here. We all kind of got slapped in the face during their last big sale with a big ingredient change. And let's kind of start here when it comes to product reformulations, because I'm in the mind of, I do kind of pick and choose what I kind of get upset about when it comes to formulation changes, because look, I've been around the block, okay? And those of us who have been in this community for a while, who have been shopping with a lot of these brands since their inception, are used to products changing, okay? A lot of us put y'all onto companies, and I think the worst part of that is that while you are really excited to be a part of the growth of a business, a lot of y'all come in and start complaining about everything. And a lot of these brand owners make changes that honestly, like those of us who were shopping with the brand and enjoying the brand and reviewing the products, are really disheartened by, because it's like now they're getting faced with all this negativity, because with more people comes more negativity. It's just a given. And when you're small, I don't care what it is that you're doing, it's very hard to not take too much of that criticism to heart. And I've seen a lot of formulations change over the years because y'all showed up, y'all got on the hype train and started complaining. And I'm just saying y'all as a general term, because sometimes y'all get mad at me saying y'all. But I mean, it's y'all, it's the natural hair community, and that's who I'm talking to. Y'all just gonna have to get over that. So this happens a lot. A lot of my favorite products have changed. I would say a big bulk of the things that I show you guys on a regular basis are not their original formulations. This that we're crying about now is not the original formulation. It's not. So those are always things to consider. Curl Maker. This is like the third or fourth formulation of Curl Maker. And if you shop Camille Rose, you basically have an understanding that if she launches something online and it's really popular and it goes in the store, that formula is going to change. It's going to change because she has to make changes when she decides to go into a store. And that's why a lot of times I really do appreciate companies who formulate their products initially to be pushed out into a location where they are actually going to have to be regulated. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But those of you who have been following the situation with Uncle Funky's daughter, it was kind of confusing because in the new formulation, they have glycerin as like the second ingredient now. And there are also some other things in there as well, like wheat protein, etc., etc. Those are the two main ingredients that we took note of, and especially that glycerin, because obviously glycerin can be incredibly finicky for people. For me, it don't really matter that much. For me, glycerin will make my hair draw up, but it doesn't necessarily cause too many issues. And the same issues that I have with humidity and stuff like that with glycerin, I have with a lot of other products. So basically my bigger issue with the Uncle Funky's daughter situation outside of the reformulation was that they were being asked about it, and at first they weren't saying anything, but then when we were asking about it, they were saying, oh, well, the formulation hasn't changed. Okay. Like, you got ingredients that were never there on the label. So clearly something has changed. And so it's like me and quite a few of my friends were discussing, you know, so are you saying that you were never disclosing these ingredients from jump? Because that's a problem for me. And especially from a Black-owned brand, because we get mad about these ingredients that we see in these drugstore products. But a lot of Black-owned companies, and I'm not afraid to say this, take advantage of the fact that we trust them more than other companies. And a lot of them can get away with not disclosing everything that's on the ingredients label because most of them aren't even on shelves. Okay? We're going to talk about that in a minute, okay? So, you know, we had that discussion of, okay, so you're saying the formula hasn't changed, but we're seeing ingredients on this list that were not on the list prior. So are you telling me that these ingredients have always been in the formula, but you just weren't disclosing them? So then eventually they started telling people, well, glycerin has always just been in the formula, but it was just way lower on the ingredients list. Well, baby, that's a formulation change, whether you like to admit it or not. And this is my thing with these companies, especially with companies like Uncle Funky's, the ones that have been there for a good minute. Uncle Funky's, Camille Rose, Shea Moisture, all those kind of more OG brands that you can think of that got a lot of play and have been doing very well. Y'all have been around too long to not have people who know how to handle PR and have people out here saying stuff if it ain't true. Because this is how I feel. It's annoying if you don't know, but I would rather you just shut up and not say anything if you don't know what you're talking about. That's just me as a consumer. Don't be over here telling me one thing and then the next influencer another thing and then the next influencer another thing, because they know we're going to ask and they know we're going to talk about it. If you don't know what it is that you're putting out there, don't say it. If you don't know for a fact that what you're saying is true, because the person that is answering their social media is not in the lab, okay? They're not. So if that is the case, then don't say anything. The natural hair community is incredibly reactionary, but that also does not mean that we're stupid. It's really annoying when, one, you try to say that a formula is not different because the ingredient was always there, just in a different concentration. Well, let's think about it from this way, because you don't have to be a chemist to understand this point. If, let's say, I'm having a bake sale, and I make the first batch of cookies, I make, say, 4 dozen cookies, and the recipe per dozen calls for 2 teaspoons of baking powder. So I make the cookies, they come out, they're perfect, they're amazing. So then I work on the next 4 dozen, and I accidentally put 2 cups of baking powder per dozen instead of 2 teaspoons of baking powder per dozen. Do you think those cookies are going to be the same? If you bake, you know the answer to that. Those cookies are not going to be the same. I really wish that brands would stop pretending that we're done. There's a formulation change. Just say, yes, we changed the formula. We made a decision to make some changes that we felt would either make this formulation better, or, you know, due to cost of ingredients, we had to make some changes in order to not raise the prices on products. There are so many reasons why companies may change a formula, but don't sit here and try to bullshit people, you know? Because at the end of the day, and this is what I've been saying about proximity. A lot of y'all don't want to hear this, especially when influencers say it, but it's the same thing with brands. A lot of us are really, really comfortable with having that direct access to these small brands. The issue is a lot of these small brands have built their following off of that proximity, off of this subculture. Basically, it's a subculture within the cosmetic industry. They've built their recognition on this proximity, and sometimes they take advantage of it without even really realizing it, because you want to maintain this proximity, but you don't want to maintain your honesty when you're using that proximity. Just say it changed. People are either going to buy it or not buy it. But if I catch you in a lie, that's really going to make me not want to buy it, you know? It's going to make me not want to support you. And I don't want companies to continue putting us in that position. If you don't know what to say, if you don't know what the hell you're talking about, then don't say it. At the end of the day, the formulation has changed. You're either going to purchase it when you run out and see if you still like it, or you're not. When I run out of this big ass thing, I'll purchase a small one and see if I still like it. And if I still like it, then I'll talk to you guys about it. I'll talk to you guys about the changes, but I'm not going to go out of my way to purchase something else just because the formula changed. And that just kind of takes me down, you know, this road of kind of what I've been thinking, what me and a lot of my colleagues in this space have been talking about, because there are reformulations after reformulations after reformulations every month, every year, and we're going to be seeing it more. For those of us who have been around for a long time and have watched our favorites change for some time now, I think a lot of us just don't care anymore. It's like, if I buy it and I don't like it, then I don't like it, and that's fine, because we have so many options now. It sucks when our favorites change. That's not fun. But I promise you, you're going to experience it a lot. That's just the industry. That's the cosmetic industry in general. Anytime a new study comes out about an ingredient and we decide that we hate that ingredient, that's something that cosmetic companies have to consider. Anytime that an ingredient becomes incredibly scarce and it's no longer a good economic decision to try to source that ingredient, then things have to change. There are like I said, there are so many reasons why a product may be reformulated, and it sucks because a lot of times ingredients that we may or may not like are used to substitute for that, and it's frustrating. With COVID, I just had this prediction from what I've been hearing from a lot of brand owners that I'm close with, and also just kind of seeing from smaller brands in my emails and online. A lot of companies are struggling with the distribution of these ingredients that we like so much. We love to see brands that have these ridiculously exotic ingredients in them, right? We think it makes it so interesting and it's exciting. Oh, I've never seen this ingredient in a product before. And it kind of gives a brand that edge, right? But we never really think about what's going to happen if we can't get those ingredients anymore, you know? And a lot of brands are facing that, even with ingredients that aren't necessarily super rare or exotic, you know, but those things still have to be sourced. And a lot of people are having issues with either getting the product shipped to them or the price of it. And I'm hearing from a lot of people that they are really having to consider either raising their prices or changing the formula to avoid raising the price. And y'all, that's gonna be something that hurts, because those are the two things that we hate the most. We already don't like having to pay the money we have to pay for products, right? You know, a lot of us want quality, but we don't really want to pay for quality. And when it comes down to it, when it comes down to the sourcing of ingredients, not just the sourcing of ingredients, but the ethical sourcing of ingredients, you're going to pay for that. You know, like you're going to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I've been talking to a lot of you guys about this because every time I bring up the main choice, somebody got something to say. And I've spoken about how I feel about the main choice. I've seen the main choice make so many different ingredient changes far before the company was sold, right? This ain't nothing new to me. I ain't new to this, I'm true to this. And a whole lot of the things that I've loved from the main choice have changed because of customer complaints. So that's already obnoxious as hell when you really, really love something. And so like them leave-ins that y'all love, that every time y'all, you know, go to buy it again, 3 years later, the ingredients have changed. It's just like, look, I was here like 3 formulations ago. Like I stopped being sad about it a long time ago. But also I think specifically with the Ancient Egyptian collection, and I think the Ancient Egyptian collection is a very good, example of this, because there definitely have been some changes with that collection, and it does not surprise me at all. Out of all of the collections that the main choice has, I would expect those to change. And I say that because those highlighted ingredients that were so high up in that formulation are already expensive as hell. They are expensive as hell. I cannot imagine how much the price of those oils skyrocketed during COVID. And I can all but guarantee that it was to the point that they were just like, this is not economical. And we know the prices of Ancient Egyptian already. Y'all would have not been okay with the price increase. On that, absolutely not. Some of those Ancient Egyptian products are already close to $30. If the prices had gone up on that, I think they knew full well that we would not have purchased them. We would have just found something else. What I did like to see in the reformulation of that product is that they still used good ingredients to add in as replacements. And those oils are still there, but they're more towards the middle of the ingredients list. And you have those more common oils like castor oil and jojoba up top. They serve the same purpose. They're good ingredients. Those are oils that I love. It's a formulation change that makes sense. And when I saw it, I was like, okay, I'm not even really that bothered. And I highly doubt that it's really going to feel that different. I really do. It's not like they just took like a bunch of glycerin and dumped it in the bottle and just said, hey, hope it works for you, you know? Because that is always a slippery slope for people, because people's hair can be so reactive to glycerin, right? But to me, that's a formulation change that makes sense. Now, one of you guys did mention you saw changes on the Tropical Moringa and the Buttery gel. I'm not going to linger on this too long, but I don't actually think that there's a formulation change just from looking on the website. If you actually pay attention to your old jars and what's listed on the website, the bottom ingredients are flipped. Like the actual ingredients list is just flipped. I think someone fucked up, because there is no way that there is that much titanium dioxide and mica and stuff in those gels. There's just no way. It would be a glitter bomb. There's just no logical way in my mind. So literally it looks like they flipped. All the ingredients are exactly the same. It literally just looks like the list got flipped. So it looks more like human error. I don't see any true evidence that those things have changed, so I won't linger on that too long. But if they ever do change them, I just hope that it's still as good as what I have, because at the end of the day, I'm just mentally prepared for a lot of the things that I like to change. I am either having to pay more, which I am willing to do, but a lot of people aren't. And I know that I am personally not the majority in that when it comes to being willing to pay more for what I like. But I'm already mentally prepared for those changes. And I hope that it doesn't happen with too many things, but I'm seeing it happen with a lot of stuff. And I think that we're going to continue to see it happening just because brands can't just sit with out of stock products forever, you know, waiting on ingredients to come and waiting on prices to change. But I also know that just because something is made to be a little bit more simplistic does not always mean that it's going to be bad. And I think the great thing is that a lot of these companies that we've been using that have had more simplistic formulas will probably have to make fewer changes because they have been able to coax these ingredients to make them, you know, incredibly effective and to make those formulas still feel very unique and luscious and luxe. And I think those companies are probably going to be the ones that aren't going to be faced with a lot of these changes. So that's kind of that on that. The last thing I wanted to talk about, because I'm really tired of talking about this, is the whole thing with Dmdm Hydantelyn. And it's really obnoxious to me when it comes to just preservatives in general, because especially when I do like my affordables week and stuff like that, this was really something that came up around that time, because we all know that if you're going into the drugstore, there's going to be an ingredient that you don't like. It's just the truth. Like there's going to be something somewhere that, you know, you don't like. And we can talk about people not liking certain ingredients and these more natural Black-owned brands as well, because I know so many people who like heckle brands about using phenoxyethanol and Optifen Plus, and it's like, okay, but like I wish y'all were as worried about bacteria and microorganisms as you are some of these ingredients that you don't even have any actual knowledge on. And a lot of people get mad at me when I say this, but at the end of the day, my proximity to these ingredients is different from a lot of you guys. And that is why I'm not sitting around afraid of everything I put on my body and my hair. And a lot of these things, you're still using them. You're still using them. You're just not using them in your hair products, but you're using them everywhere else. I keep getting the question, I don't understand why chemists keep using these ingredients in natural hair products. Well, it's because they see the petri dish and you don't. They see what has the potential to grow on your head if they don't use certain ingredients. You don't see that. What's up, y'all? Editing Bree here. So I just also wanted to make a point as well that you also have to remember that 9 times out of 10, a lot of these chemists aren't out here watching natural hair YouTube content, and they're not knee deep in the natural hair community either, right? We know the percentages of Black people in general in STEM, and more particularly the percentages of Black women in STEM. So when a chemist is working with a brand, those desires of those certain ingredients are also reiterated by the brand owner. So for example, oftentimes we hear the owner of Camille Rose, Janelle Stevens, she says she fights a lot with her chemist. She fights a lot with her chemist because there are certain ingredients that she does not want in her products. And she stands by that. Not just her personal opinions, but because she is very much well aware of what the natural hair community will and will not like to see in her formulations. But those aren't always things that can be compromised from a standpoint of formulation and public health. And so you may have a brand owner of another natural hair company that is more concerned about that preservative being highly effective so that their customers' products can sit on a shelf, as opposed to being more concerned about maintaining a certain criteria based on what will make them look more natural, if that makes sense. So it's not just the chemist's choice either. There are also brands and brand owners who also have the potential to collaborate with that chemist and make those changes and ask for certain things to be developed in certain ways. So there's more than just one person here in that situation. And so it's not just all on the chemist. But at the end of the day, the chemist's job is to not just make an effective formula, but also to make a formula that is not going to allow for the breeding of certain microorganisms. And we also have to remember that that is just as important as any other thing that we deem to be important with our natural hair products. These are things that chemists do not take lightly. That is their job, okay? That is their job, to make sure that they're not just formulating something that's effective, but formulating something that is not going to fester. I think people don't think about these things. And it's like I've said before, there is not a single preservative that you can find that does not have some type of linked issue to it, because there is nothing natural about preservatives. And this is why these natural hair companies keep getting in trouble for putting natural on their products, because there's nothing natural about these ingredients. There is nothing natural about keeping something alive when it is supposed to die. Okay, there's nothing natural about that. But also, you have to understand the context that when you are reading these different articles and you're on EWG, you are reading things that are telling you what this ingredient has the potential to do at its maximum dose. Like, this is like kill you type shit. And every chemical, because everything is a chemical, has a maximum dose. But understand that when a cosmetic chemist is formulating something, they're only allowed to put so much of a percentage of that ingredient in there. I believe that for Dmdm Hydantelyn and other ingredients like that, it's like 0.5 to 0.8%. Like, you know, so there is that. I think a lot of people are also out here just making poor decisions with their hair, and the closest thing they have to relate to what they're doing is the product, and so they blame the product. But I know a lot of people who continue to use products that they know cause them reactions that they are allergic to, just because, oh, well, I just want to try it one more time. There's always going to be somebody who has an issue with some ingredient, and a lot of it is because y'all have turned, y'all are gonna get so mad at me for saying this. Like 20 people are about to like click out of this video and unsubscribe. But so many of y'all have turned being product snobs into a trendy personality trait. And a lot of y'all don't even really know what you're talking about, which is the bigger issue. And I hate to say this, but if this whole debacle with Uncle Funky's daughter isn't proof enough, I just need y'all to understand that just because they're Black owned, just because they say they're natural, just because whatever marketing they put out there that you tout, just because you can pronounce all the ingredients on the ingredients list, doesn't mean you know everything that you're putting on your goddamn head. Especially if it's a brand that you can only purchase online, because there is pretty much no regulation when it comes to these companies that we shop that are online only. And I'm talking about their shops, not ones that you can get, you know, on Sephora online or Ulta online. Because, you know, I remember when Whitney came out with Melanin, and she came out with a black soap shampoo, and y'all were like literally trying to rip her a new asshole because the ingredients list didn't say verbatim African black soap. But that's because Whitney actually went into creating her company knowing that there were certain standards that she was going to have to meet. And when you are meeting those standards, you have to list out every single chemical. You can't just put African black soap, because African black soap is made up of several different things. I don't know if y'all can hear my stomach just then. A bitch is hungry, but that's the truth. You have to put that. But y'all are so used to shopping these Black owned hair care brands online that literally just list African black soap. But African black soap in itself is not just an ingredient. There are different things that make up that African black soap. And you as a consumer are allowed to know what those things are. I think the biggest hot take for me is that you may not like everything that these drugstore brands put in their products, but at least they tell you. Because there are a whole lot of Black-owned companies out here that are pretending like they don't put preservatives, like the ingredients list that they have on their products is everything that's in there. And I hate to break this to y'all, but if it's been open and on a shelf for longer than a week, there's a preservative in it. Whether they told you that or not, there's a preservative in it. Editing Bree, she's back again. I just wanted to clarify one point. I'm sorry, I just look so crusty and tired. But I just want to also just note that I'm not saying that every natural brand that you find online is out here trying to deceive you or trying to lie to you. A good portion of the companies that I shop that I can only get online are doing what they are supposed to do. And just at a glance, you can tell that they're going out of their way to disclose what they should be disclosing. But not everybody does. And the point that I'm making is that because there is no regulation, people know that they can get away with not telling you everything if that is what they want to do. And this is what I mean by saying that this whole ingredient snob trend is a problem. Anytime you turn something that should be a lifestyle choice, something that should just be basic morals and ethics, into a trend, that immediately it is not going to have a positive impact in the end, because those impacts are already one, going to be inorganic because it's a trend, and trends don't have lasting power. But what they do is they create a large bubble of cause and effect, and brands and companies make choices based on these trends, much like clean beauty and natural beauty and all these things that you see that have no real merit and no real standing. That's how we get these things. And what happens is that more and more companies take those liberties with not having to tell you everything, because they do not want to be under a microscope when it comes to every single trend for every single ingredient, if that makes sense. And so while it's very unethical and it's very dishonest, and it's something that I take very seriously as someone who has worked within a research and development space. To me, it is incredibly dishonest and it's gross. And part of me really dislikes the cosmetic industry because, y'all can see Ellie's little ear, because they are so under-regulated. But also do know that there are a lot of people out here that are creating these brands because they care, and they are going out of their way to tell you everything. So I don't want you guys to think that I'm just saying that all of these brands are just completely dishonest, because that's not true, and that's not what I'm trying to say. But this is the cause and effect. This is the trickle-down effect that you get when you take something that should just be basic common sense and basic morals and ethics, and you turn it into a trend. It does not have a lasting positive impact, and that is what I'm trying to say. And obviously I shop these brands that are only online, and obviously you are putting your trust in that company that they are telling you everything. But they can get away with not telling you everything because they don't have anybody regulating them. They don't have anybody telling them, hey, you need to have this on here because the consumer needs to know this. They don't have to be held to that standard. I would much rather know and be able to make a decision about what I want to go on my head, and be able to make it in a quick and easy fashion, as opposed to having to heckle a brand about what preservative or what emulsifier may be in that product. Because as a consumer, I have a right to know. And so those are things that we have to consider, and they're things that a lot of people don't want to hear, but this is what happens. These are the things that fly under the radar when you turn things that should just be basic common sense, things that should just be a part of your lifestyle, just being a little bit more conscious, just reading your labels. When you turn that into a trend, when you turn it into a personality trait, when you sit on a high horse, this is what happens. Because the truth of the matter is, a whole lot of these brands aren't telling you what's in their products because of people like you. Because they know that if you saw that ingredient, you wouldn't buy it. And it's incredibly dishonest. But this is what happens when we turn basic life skills into trends. Brands react because their job is to sell. Their job is to make money. And they do what they have to do to make money. And I guarantee you, if a lot of the companies that we shop that are online only, and I'm not talking just hair care, I'm talking body care, I'm talking skincare, if they went into stores today, y'all would have a whole lot to say about those ingredients lists. I'm just saying. So that's where I'm really gonna leave with that. I think when it comes down to it, it's not that I don't care. I'm just becoming more and more indifferent the longer that I'm in, enjoying this natural hair community and enjoying being the product junkie that I am, because I don't think I'm ever not going to be a bit of a product junkie. I'm just mildly indifferent. There are certain things that I really love that I don't want to see change, that I know very well could change. And if they change, y'all will see me mad for a little bit, but I'll get over it. As far as, the preservatives and stuff go, if you don't like it, don't use it. But I'm going to use what I feel comfortable using. But I do challenge you guys to stop just looking up things. And a lot of y'all aren't even like looking up anything reputable. You're just believing what somebody said on Instagram. Stop doing that. At least try to do the bare minimum when it comes to trying to find something that's real. And also, we have resources on YouTube, people that are actually out here who are in the industry giving you factual information. People who actually have the wherewithal to tell you these things, and you should be using them as resources. And stop ignoring them just because they're not saying what it is you want them to say. Because at the end of the day, scientific facts are scientific facts. You don't have to like them, but at least they're not pumping you with bullshit, okay? I know my opinion may not be the most popular opinion, but I'm also just kind of the mind that I'm just like, there's just so many more important things going on in the world, and I just don't have it in me anymore to get like hemmed up over shampoo, conditioner, leave-in, and gel anymore. I just don't. If I like it, I like it. And if I don't, I just move on with my life. And I think more of us just need to start doing that, because these companies are going to do that regardless. So stop losing sleep over it, okay? I love you guys, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.